Hi guys, welcome to Chakra Sessions. I'm your host, Polly Jo LeBay, and we are here to talk about expanding our intuitive channels. I'm going to just adjust this a minute. There we go. So a lot of people think about intuition as, only being in the third eye, or they only feel it in their belly. And we actually get energy and information in more than one location in our body. And the more that we use our intuitive channels, the more information that can come in as intuition and intuitive flow. How cool. I'm so excited. So welcome to the show, everybody. Hi, Barbie. Nice to see you. See if I can get that to come up. Nice to have you in the house. And let's see, Vicky's here. I'm having a little technical difficulty. There we go. Hi, Vicky. Nice to see you. Glad to have you here. So, this is, we're here as part of Star Nations Radio Network, and Star Nations is really dedicated to helping you sort of open your pathway, your spiritual self, and really all the ways that you can do that, because we each have our own way of connecting to the divine, our own way of living our lives, but sometimes we need sort of like support and help as we're walking our path, because we all need that little bit of clarity once in a while. It's just nice for a second opinion, right? So we're here kind of to lovingly hold and support you. So I hope you guys are ready for that. And as part of being on Star Nations and Facebook, we ask that you like and share this broadcast. If you do that, it shows up in your news feed or wherever you want to share it to. Maybe there's a group or a friend that you know would really enjoy the information that we're going to share today. And we just sort of let the universe take care of getting it to those people who need to see it today, or in the recording, however that will work. So welcome. I'm kind of excited that we are in this new month. March was a little bit of a lion. I was thinking, in like a lion, out like a lamb. I don't know. I think it stayed a lion. Energetically, anyways. It's been a really big upheaval month for some people. And for other people, it's been like, this kind of stuck energy that wants to move forward. But April feels a lot about spring and rebirth and all of that. So I'm excited to move forward and really tap into things in a fuller and broader way. So let's see. All right, Christine's in the house as well. Hi, Christine. I'm glad to have you here. And for those of you who know me, I'm going to start clearing because we're moving energy. So let me see if I can get this to come up. Nice. So we're here to talk about expanding your intuitive channels. So everybody experiences their intuition in a different way. And a lot of people feel it, they sense it, they know it. And, let me know where you experience your intuition. Do you get, I like to think about, Sonia Choquette talks about trust your vibes. So where do you get your vibes? Where do you get your hits of this is good for me, this is bad for me? Some people get it in their stomach, or they have it affect their throat or their heartbeat, whatever it is. Let's share on where you guys experience your intuition, so that I can share that with you guys. Yes, March was very heavy and dense. Yes, April will be better. It does. It already feels lighter and brighter. I don't know about you guys, but I already felt that kind of come up and really show itself. So I'm having an interesting time. They've got some new buttons here on Star Nation, on Be Live TV. There we go. So you guys are going to have to bear with me as I'm trying to work my way through some of this. So let's see. Barbie feels hers in the heart. Nice. Hi, Lindsay June. Glad to have you here. Lindsay feels her in her heart and her gut. Hi, Julie. Glad to have you here as well. Christine is in the heart and the gut. Nice. I'm sort of waiting if there's any other spaces. You know, I find that when I experience sort of intuitive hits, yes, my stomach is my first, my big go-to. And it responds differently. So it's not just that it hits my gut, but it's like sometimes it's like bubbly feeling or like butterflies. And sometimes it feels like a sucker punch. And sometimes it feels hot. And each one of those is a different feeling. Ah, nice, Vicki. Thanks for sharing that. I feel as though I've lost part of my intuition last year with all that's going on. Looking forward to getting it back. You know, I had a pretty strong intuitive, it actually was, it didn't hit my intuition the same way. But last year, really more the end of 2017 and the beginning of 2018, I really could see for other people, but I lost my ability to see for myself. Not that I lost it completely, but I think I just didn't want to know. There was part of me that just didn't want to know. So I blocked receiving information from me. I kept it open for everybody else, but I had a really hard time keeping it open for myself. So I totally get it. And we're going to look at that. Bobby gets a trifecta of feeling her intuition in her heart, her tummy, and her crown. Nice. Curious if it all happens at the same time, or is it different situations and different ways that it hits? And let's see. Oh, hi, Dad. Nice to have you in the house. Always good to see you around, which is great. Cool. So, and Vicki said she could relate to that. Yep. Yeah, it's like there's times when we shut down our intuition for different reasons. Sometimes we shut it down because we're getting too much too fast and we get overwhelmed. Sometimes we have one really rough thing come through intuitively that we didn't want to know, and then we're like, I don't want to know that. And then we kind of block it from coming in. So nice, Christine. You get a lot of things to come in dreams or in meditation. Yes. Thank you for sharing that. I was just about to ask. I'm a big dreamer. I get it in meditation as well, but I'm a big dreamer. If I have a problem, I ask my team to share the information with me while I'm sleeping. And then I usually wake up in a place where I'm like, oh, okay, now I know what to do. Or it comes in first thing in the meditation, the awareness, the knowing comes in meditation. So one of the things I wanted to talk to people about is we have these intuitive channels. They kind of run through our body. They come in a particular way through a couple different avenues, and then it responds. And so for most people, it hits in the stomach, it hits in the heart, and it hits maybe in the head or the third eye. And there are other people that it squeezes their throat shut. And I know we don't seem to have anybody like that in the group right now, but it will, cause almost that like squeezing sensation for people. And that's usually a sign that they're not happy about something or something that's not good. So, and Lindsay gets them a multitude of ways. Yeah, Lindsay's a student in the school. She's a second-year student, about finished her second year next weekend. Yay! So yes, you know that you get them in a bunch of different ways. That's how that works, you know? So when we are receiving our intuition, yes, it can come right through the stomach or right through the heart or right through any of the chakras. Can be a what is that called? A receiver of intuitive information, which is great. But we actually have some pathways that send the energy through. Great, Julie. Depending on the situation, I feel it in my heart or gut, but I'm still trying to recognize my intuitive hits in general. Perfect. This is a great show for you then. Because lots of times we get intuitive hits and we don't know we got a hit, right? And we mistake them for other things. That happens a lot. And we also are in a place where we don't necessarily trust them. That can be a big problem too, is trusting that what you got was true. I know for, you know, back in the day, you know, when I was expanding and owning my gifts in this particular way, you know, there's times when you second guess it and you want somebody else to validate it, or you ask your team to validate it. So remember that usually if you get the same reaction 3 times, like hello, or you hear the same thing 3 times, that's your team talking through. So there is a way. A lot of people get it, intuition also through their third eye. And, you know, one of the questions that comes up between people is, you know, what's the difference between psychic and intuitive? And everybody has intuition. Everybody's psychic. So how does that work? It's just a matter of how deeply you trust your intuition. And in terms of psychic, it depends on the person's definition, really. I am somebody who definitely is psychic, but I see myself more as a mystic. And a mystic gets their psychic downloaded information from the divine. A psychic can get it from people who are on the other side or from their spiritual team, but it can come from any direction that you want it to. I can use my psychic abilities. I can ask for that. But in general, when I'm doing my work, I'm calling in the divine. I'm calling in the divine energy, and then I feel it in my body. But that's when I am aware, right? And I'm doing it with intention. When I'm walking around Walmart or the grocery store and I get a hit, that is more my intuition. Like, yes, I should buy this. No, I shouldn't. You know, my body doesn't want this today, and I'll get a sensation in my body. So there are some really cool intuitive channels that run through our head, which is an interesting thing. So you have the crown, you know, that the chakra at the top. And it varies in how far away it is, depending on the person. And we often use the crown and the third eye together for our intuition or our psychic abilities, whatever, however you want to perceive that. But there's this spot in our head where when we get information from the divine, whether it's our spiritual team or not, it comes through and it hits. I'm going to spin around. It hits right here in the back of the head, like at the base of the skull in the occipital joint. And it's, you know how you have all those things where it says, you know, the light bulb goes off, or, you know, like you smack yourself here, like, oh, I should have known better. It's like you're hitting your forehead and trying to send it back. into the back of your head. And that spot in the back of your head is where we get the aha, that, oh, that's what that was about. So it's one thing to have the intuition kick in. It's another thing to know that you got the intuitive hits. So I love that Julie's saying, I'm still trying to recognize it. Perfect. Because you're getting the intuition. It's learning to connect it and feel it and expand it. All right. So Jim says, it is a way of deep knowing. It comes from my quietest space. If I pause and wait, I get real quiet inside. The answer arrives like on a wave. Right. Exactly. That's beautifully written. So that's when you get the intuitive hit somewhere in your body or somewhere in your knowing, and you stop. Right? And then you're like, you check out, okay, where is this coming from? And what does this mean? And really, if we just ask in that moment, the knowing comes in and the information comes in. But it takes a little conscious effort initially. It takes practice, because we aren't taught as children, or generally we're not taught as children, to use our intuition. We're taught to use our logical brain. Well, what do you think? And so I have a lot of time where I'm spending time saying, I don't care what you think. I want to hear what you feel. What does this feel like in your body? Where are you sensing it? What does that feel like? Oh, thank you, Christine. I'm glad this is helpful. So when you get an intuitive hit, you're going to probably feel it somewhere in your body. When that happens, we either jump to conclusions with our logical brain. Oh, this means that. Or we check in. And we check in with our heart, and we check into that quiet space and say, okay, what's this about? And the problem is when we do that moment of check-in, we have to be open to whatever the answer may be. And that's where we run into problems. Generally, that's when we shut down our gifts, shut down our intuition, because we want to know some answers, but not all the answers. You don't want to know that, somebody's doing something bad. But you do want to know if, you're going to get a raise at work, right? Like, am I going to get a raise? You're excited and you want to know, but we have to be as excited about any information that comes in because it's our team trying to give us a little heads up, a little knowledge ahead of time. And usually that means when we have the knowledge ahead of time, we can take action from a fuller place, from a very open place, if that makes sense to you guys. So when the intuitive hit comes in, we want it to go through our heart for interpretation. And those of you who understand that we have, soul chakras as well as regular chakras. We have 7 regular chakras that run our everyday life, but we have 5 soul chakras that help us run our spiritual mission, our spiritual purpose. And when we ask those to step in, we can get a higher perspective, a higher answer. And in some cases, people will say that you're connecting to your higher self. And in a way, that's true. Because normally those chakras are above your head, so it feels higher. But when you practice connecting with those soul chakras and that part of you, you can actually sort of hold your higher self in your physical body all the time. So that is the heart connecting to what some people call the high heart. My team calls it the transcendental heart because it's the heart that transcends. It transcends time, space, dimension, and lifetimes. So it's the purest heart. And that's why I connect to my heart and ask my heart to ask for the highest help. Does that make sense? So when we have the information come in, if our ego gets a hold of it, it's going to put it in our brain, and we're going to start to make assumptions based on what we already know, what we've already experienced, and what we want and what we desire the outcome to be. When we ask our heart and our higher self, it takes our interpretation out of the equation so that we're just receiving the information as we need it. And you kind of take it with a grain of salt, right? This is your team corresponding with you. And because they're in a space of authentic truth, they're not going to communicate anything with us that isn't true. But we may get some information that we're not especially happy to hear. But yet we still need to hear it, right? You know, we can't always have, sometimes we have to know that that food isn't good for us to eat anymore. And so when they let us know that, it's time to let it go, right? And we might not want to hear it. You know, I did not want to hear that I was allergic to potatoes. Because boy, you know, I've got a lot of Irish in me, and she was not happy. And I used my logical brain a little bit because I was hoping what I was getting wasn't true. Well, maybe it's the brand, or maybe it's the pesticides, or maybe. No, it's just that I'm allergic to them now. And my body tolerated them for a certain amount of time, and now it is not okay. But I didn't want to hear it, right? So I used my logical brain to kind of figure out what it could be, rather than listening to my body saying, don't eat it. I needed to know why. Often when we need to know why, we're dismissing the divine nudging and we try to make logic of it. Our brain needs to know. Our ego needs to know. Great insight, Bobby. I'm learning to just let whatever energy is happening and not to catalog it into my ego. Right. Tough work there, right? It's one of those things that is really difficult, you know, and I mean, I still do it from time to time because there's certain things, like I said, you don't always want to know. You're like, wait a minute, I love that. I don't want to not be able to do that anymore. So our ego gets involved. So these intuitive channels that come in, there are a number of them that, you know, everybody already knows, or you could read it on the internet and find out. So some people get intuition through their crown, some get it through their third eye and their forehead, some get it through their heart, their throat, their gut. I haven't really heard anybody who gets it in their first or second chakra, but I'm not dismissing the possibility. I just haven't run across anyone yet who gets their intuition through those two spots. Now, when we are able to focus on the expanded chakra system, the 12, the 22, and beyond, there are little portals, little pathways that can allow intuitive guidance to also come through. So one of the places that energy will come through is by the temples. And when that is congested, how many of you get ringing in your ears on one side or the other, or it's a constant? That's the energy trying to come in, your team actually trying to communicate with you. And when that is closed, we get that buzzing sensation. Not that it will completely necessarily go away. It's letting you know that they're in constant communication with you. But that is another spot where, people don't realize it's there. And then there's these spots on the top of the head. So if you can imagine that it's an oval and you did 6 dots. So you'd have 2 like in the corners and then 1 in the middle. You'd have 1, 2, 3 on each side, kind of like an arc. It would go like this. Okay? And those are all, we could interpret it as being part of the crown, but they're like much smaller pinpoints. That is when people are getting intuitive hits that have to do with knowledge being downloaded, like the when a genius all of a sudden sees what the next part of an equation is, and they, all of a sudden are able to solve a problem that hasn't been able to be solved for a long time. That is where the information can kind of like come through. That is more of a divine interaction rather than your intuition. But those are very connected, because if we are having trouble keeping that area open, then we have less energy places to interpret the intuition that comes in. Does that make sense? So if the temples are closed, or if the any of those 6 spots on the top of the head are closed, or if you're having trouble keeping the space behind the occipital joint wide open, it means that it doesn't affect the intuition coming to you, but it affects the interpretation of the intuition, because then the heart isn't able to connect to the highest perspective. It can only connect to the perspective that you already have. Does that make sense? So yes, right. Have it go through your heart for the interpretation. Yeah, it's that, we get the hit, but it's so easy for us to make assumptions based on things we already know, right? But you could be getting a hit on something that you know nothing about. It's out of your realm. It's something you haven't experienced before. So do you want your ego to make something up for the answer, or do you want it to come through your higher perspective and say, hey, this is what this is about? And it's like, oh, okay. All right. That's something new, but great. Perfect, Barbie. If they are plugged, are they tender? Yes, my dear. They will actually act like trigger points. We've all heard about trigger points in our body, I would think. When they are tender, they are plugged, they're congested. And that can be a little bit problematic, right? Because we want them open, So when we are connecting to our intuition, not only do we want to get the hit, but we want to be able to interpret it. Now, don't freak out that if they're tender, that means they're plugged. That's okay, because we're going to do a meditation and we're going to do a healing on it. And I'm going to tell you some ways to help open them or reopen them. And by the way, if you have any trigger points in your body that people do massage on or any of that, I just had to see that. I know it's rough when they rough when they are. If you have any places where you're super tender and it's a trigger point, if you get massage or acupuncture or any of that, or energy work even, those trigger points are part of your secondary chakra system or tertiary chakra system, which is a little bit much to talk about in today. But those trigger points are also places where energy is condensed and it's not flowing properly. So that's why they hurt. But I'll show you, some ways to get that cleared. Yes, Minnie. Head massages. I know. And I love when the hairdresser does it too, like really rubs in there deeply. Yes, that helps to open them. And I'll tell you, when I've been doing a lot of channeling work, and I do quite a bit, I channel for the teachings and the classes and my school. There's times when I had a lot of information flowing. I will use a little bit of Epsom salt in my shampoo when I'm washing my hair. And it helps get that extra energy out of my head. It's one of those great things. And lavender is great as well to calm the energy so that it doesn't stick to you quite the same way, if that makes sense. I love using the lavender, and rosemary is another one that can help open those up. So if you have essential oils, you can use that as well when your hair is wet, and kind of like rub it in, and really just press on them and open them. I find on the ones that are on the head, you don't want to necessarily press and hold them, but, like gently rub around them, like really just kind of like rub around them, scrub in there. And craniosacral is another way to open those up. Vicky's asking about peppermint. Peppermint can do it as well. I just find that a number of people have difficulty with peppermint because it can cool you down really quickly. It's great if you're having hot flashes, but some people who run cold anyways, peppermint is a little strong. But yes, it is another one that can work to open that as well. I'm a big, big fan of essential oils. I find that the ones that are certified therapeutic grade especially have a really high vibration. So that's really cool. Brandy, I do readings tomorrow, sweetie. Today it is just about, we're talking about intuition, and we are going to do a meditation for everybody. And you're welcome to join us, but I will be doing readings tomorrow at 7. All right. Let's see if I can get that right. There we go. All right. So we are still on the intuition, tapping back in with my team. So when are those places, the place that gets clogged the most is at the back of the neck, right here. It's why people will get migraines and stuff too, because the energy gets compressed and then all this pressure builds up and then it like shoots up. And so think about how those headaches often come up through the neck and then they wrap around into the temples, right? Or they wrap up and around, depending on how you get them. So that is really, really difficult. And Lindsay shared eucalyptus and tea tree could be good for those who are sensitive to the cold from peppermint. Yes. I'm really careful with both of those. I use tea tree oil I have a shampoo that has it. Yes, and Vicky has that peppermint and tea tree shampoo. Absolutely. I have one that's got the tea tree and the lavender already in it. And I use that. I use it specifically for when I'm trying to clear my channels when I've had a lot of work. I don't use it all the time. That way my team knows that we're using it specifically this way that day. Like, okay, my intention is that I am clearing and releasing any excess energy that got locked or stored in my head or my neck somewhere. Yep. That probably is getting caught in the back of that neck, right at that place. So we'll be opening that up today, and let's see how that helps you. there's I have a headache blend from Trinity Healing Sanctuary that I channeled, and it works really well on a number of different types of headaches. Nice. So Vicky uses the essential oils. Yeah. And the channeled headache remedy works on most people's migraines. I have a more strong one. I don't want to call it severe, a more strong one for migraines, but the way I use the oils is to train the body to heal itself. And I think most of you already know that, already do that, but it teaches your energy body how to take care of itself. Like, this is what I want you to do. So that's kind of the energy of when you open the intuitive channels that are in the head, at the base of the neck, then they have a chance to actually hit the heart, the high heart, and get interpreted by your heart from a divine perspective. And, you know, this may sound difficult or this may sound easy, but it takes practice. Like with anything, it takes practice. Letting yourself understand, like when you get a hit in your gut, usually there's not just one hit, right? There's not one kind of hit. It's kind of like with my cats, right? When I'm communicating with my cats, they have different meows for different things. They have a meow for I want food. They have a meow for change my litter box. They have a meow for I'm cranky and tired and I need a nap. And, you know, they have a meow for I need cuddle time. And they have a meow when they're worried, right? And like with babies, they have different cries, right? And we learn to know what they mean. It's all a cry, but we know that's a hungry cry. That's a diaper cry. That's a overtired cry. That's a I'm frustrated cry. We understand. So the same thing happens with our intuition. We get to learn to understand, you know, is this, you know, maybe it's just as simple as, is this a good thing or a bad thing? Knowing the difference is big. Just because you get a hit in the gut doesn't mean that it's a bad thing, right? It can be a good thing, right? And maybe bubbles can be, you know, butterfly or bubbly feeling in your belly. That could be because you're excited or because you're anxious. It's going to create anxiety. Which is it, right? Because they're two completely different things. But if we let our ego say every time I feel bubbly or butterfly-y, it's bad because it means I'm anxious, then we miss all the things that we're excited about. So this is really about learning to use your highest self to interpret your intuition as it comes in and starting to see the correspondence between what you experience and what the result is. When I teach psychic development, and I haven't taught that in a little while, but except in the school, but when I teach psychic development, one of the things I have people do is to keep a journal, and they do it whenever they get their intuitive hits. They keep just a little pad like in their purse or whatever, and then they're like, oh, I got this. And then, you know, they'll just write down the hits that they feel it. And when that happens, they can start to see like what happened in their day, what happened next. And they can journal about it at the end of the day. And it's like, oh, this one meant this one meant that. And then they start to see that there's different things. Right. And Vicky says that she feels it in the stomach, but it feels more anxious than positive. Yeah. And it can be, you know, sometimes we only get our anxious hits in our belly. Maybe you get your happy ones in your heart, or you get it in your throat and you didn't realize it. Like, oh, yay. You know, you get this, you have this deep breath that happens when it's something good. And part of this is also like understanding that when you and your body are in communication, you can know a lot more about you. You can know a lot more about your situation. And the more informed we are, the more we can actually, be who we want to be and let other people do that as well. Does that make sense? So when we're using our intuition as fully as we can and are using our divine energy to interpret it, then we are able to be guided more easily through our day. We're able to move through our life in ease and grace. That is what I strive to help people with, is how can you live your life in ease and grace? And doesn't mean that bad things aren't going to happen. It just means they don't have to knock you on your fanny every time. And, when we expand our intuition to be able to really get as much information as we can, rather than just what we want to hear, we hear it all. It's kind of like, when we're having a conversation with someone, are you actively listening or are you just listening to talk? So, all right. So Vicky just said, actually, my whole body tingles from head to toe with positive. It's all coming back to me now. Thank you so much for reminding me. Really appreciate you and all that you do. You are so welcome. Yeah, I have a lot of people who get goosebumps. That's their confirmation. Woo! Goosebumps. And usually when I get goosebumps, it's a big, big deal. It's not just that I got a confirmation, but it was like, you better do this now because my whole body is tingling. And, maybe it's been a while since you've had that experience, but that's okay. You can invite that to come through really quickly, right? All right. So why don't we do our meditation? And so to do that, you want to have your arms and legs uncrossed. You want to really feel a sense of grounded. Let me get my throat a little liquid. So first off, let's just take a couple of deep breaths and feel our body, feel our bones. Good. Feel the weight and the vibration of gravity pushing down on us. And feeling our deep connection to the earth. Because our intuitive channel runs all the way down into the earth. And if it doesn't, then it's very difficult for us to actually understand the intuitive hits when we get that. So we want to make sure that our roots are connected, that the bottom of our heart line or our crystalline tube is wide open, goes beneath us and all the way through the ground. Yeah. We're going to ask the divine energy to connect with us so that we can feel and experience all of the ways that we can call in and use our intuitive energy. Yeah. And we set the intention that this healing meditation is for the good of all and harm to none, including ourselves. Yeah. And we just remind that we've set up a sacred space for us to have this healing and conversation in. Yeah. So we're going to start at the top of the head and just experience the sensation of the divine energy coming in at the top. And those 6 little spots that I talked about at the top of the head, just giving them a moment to activate. Noticing if any are tight or feel clogged, and asking the divine to just gently dissolve any blockages that are there. And then noticing the connection in our third eye, just feeling the intuition and the experience right in the center of our forehead, and how it connects to our pineal gland, anchoring in the physical body. And how does it connect at the temples, at the sides of your head? Is there pressure there? Tingling? Just allowing that intuitive energy to gently relax and release. And bringing the energy down to the back of the neck, right at the occipital joint. And you may actually feel 2 spots there, one on either side, or you may just experience it one. Just really taking a moment to open and expand that spot. And asking the energy to gently flow down your spine, flow down your body. Opening the throat. So that you can speak from your authentic truth around your intuition. The ability to express it fully and completely. And now we're going to connect to your high heart, which is above your heart, and your heart at the same time. So you may feel it in the center of your chest, you may feel it in the top, more on your sternum. We're just opening communication between the 2 hearts so that you can experience the truth, the authentic truth. It also creates a nice, gentle energy for your intuition to flow through. And now moving down into your belly and really experiencing the different ways the intuition flows here. Some may feel a tingling, a burning, a tightening, a squeezing, a relaxing. How does the gut or how does the belly talk to you intuitively? And honoring that connection and that ability, and asking it to communicate with your heart. And just moving down to the second chakra and making sure that for those who may connect more through feelings, that you're willing to experience all the intuitive feelings that may come in. Trust and honor them. And anchoring it into your root chakra so that you feel safe to trust and listen to your intuition. Your divine guidance system. Yeah. Beautiful. Now allowing all that energy to go down and connect down the roots so that it's flowing through your whole body. Now just take a moment to feel all of the intuitive channels open, ready to receive information, ready to help you interpret it. All right, and let's come back into the moment. Gently dissolving your meditation. So one of the things that helps when our intuitive energy gets blocked is using Epsom salt or sea salt. You can use it on your feet if you feel like it's not grounded. You can use it on your belly if you feel like you're getting mixed signals there. You can use it on the back of your head, in your hair, like we were talking about with shampoo. And really, it's about, as much as we can, using it and allowing it to flow. And the world is not going to end if all the intuitive channels aren't wide open. You've still got plenty. It's just that we can have the intuition come more quickly, more fully, and it can flow in a way that allows us to experience the energy in kind of an expansive way. And I find that the more of the channels that are open, the more quickly, not only do you get that energetic hit, but the more quickly you know how to take action from it. And isn't that the thing that we're all looking for? Not only do we want our intuition to be our, divine guidance system, our radar, but we want to also use it. We want to be able to use the information to move through our life more easily. And that's why I talk about ease and grace, because then there's just not any, congestion that happens. But, we are in this planet, or on this planet, with other people. So there are times when we're interacting with others that we're going to get intuitive hits. Now, when we do the interpretation from our ego, we're going to make a whole list of assumptions. Oh, they're angry. It feels this way in my stomach, so they're angry. And then we go from angry to mad at me or whatever it is. And the reality may be that they're just frustrated about something in their life and you're picking up on it. So if we don't check into our heart, does this have anything to do with me? Here I got a hit. Does this have anything to do with me? No. And now you can hear my cat chatting with us. He's like, come on, guys. So when we stop making assumptions about the intuitive hits that we get, and we listen quietly to what the answer is, then we actually begin to diminish the misunderstandings that we have with other people in communication with other people. Oh, that's a nice side effect, Vicky. Vicky said, oh, that was lovely. I have a UTI and a really bad IBS ATM. It feels calmer now, so I'm thankful for that. We'll check in tomorrow night too, sweetie, if you can at 7, because that one will quiet it quite a bit. And I can talk to you about the UTI and the IBS. What chakras, because those are second and third chakras really that are having difficulty. So I'm glad we tapped in. Nice. Bobby says, this was so energetic. My team wanted tapping to dissipate and to help connection. Woohoo! Tapping is great. I use tapping quite often, especially when I'm clearing negative energy. For those of you who don't know what tapping is, it's called EFT, or the Emotional Freedom Technique. There are tons of super cool videos on them, and it helps release energy that's stuck in particular parts of your body. So sometimes I'm a big one for tapping right here, the high heart, because I want that connection to be wide open. And so when that spot is, if I feel like I'm not connecting to my higher self, I open that pathway by tapping. And Ed Langen, who has a show on Star Nations once a month, he always does tapping on his show to help release certain energies. So that's true. And of course you can try it. It's a different time in the UK. Of course, it's kind of late. You will definitely have the replay. It's available right on the show instantly, sweetie. So that is a great thing for you to connect to. And you can even watch one of the older, any of the Soul Connections shows. It starts with a healing meditation, and you can watch any of them and set the intention to move what you need to move around it. And with with what you're going through, you want to ask your team to specifically clear, restore, and repair your second and your third chakra. Clear, restore, repair. Okay? Because those two have some damage in them. And that's why it's like leaking energy. That's why you're having trouble. So with that, I hope you found, this information kind of helpful. And, I will be here again next week at noon. I'm not sure what my team wants to talk about, but I'm sure it'll be cool, because we're really talking about the expanded energy system. Most people can find information about the basic 7 chakras, but they don't understand things like circuitry, or understand that there are secondary chakras, or how to attach to your soul chakras or your oversoul, and how to really utilize all the energy that you have available to you. So this is about taking back your power, taking back yourself. And so we are going to spend a lot of, time working on that. So tomorrow night at 7 p.m. is Soul Connections. And that is all about you. Come and clear and release whatever you need to or want to during the meditation. And afterwards, I will do card drawings. I will do the card drawings in the order that I receive them. And I do the drawings until we are complete. So it's been, often a little over 2 hours to get everybody done. But I think it's worth it, because if you're going to take the time to connect, the divine is here to connect back with you. And, really help you move forward in your life the way you want to. And those of you who are connected to Star Nations, as we are here, Neshi's live card draw will be in 2 hours at 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time to let you know the energy of the day if you're interested in that. And then she has a lovely show that's coming up tonight called Communications from Home at 8 o'clock. And I did not get to read what it was about, but I'm very excited because I can feel that it's got some great energy to that. So with you, there's a number of great helpful shows. Thank you, thank you. And Vicki said, I've been doing inner child on those chakras as well. Yeah, the inner child resides in the heart and the high heart. When we remember to connect to it, then our inner child actually can send healing in every direction. So with that, you guys, I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. And let's welcome in this April spring energy and see what new things we can create in our lives and in the lives around us. With that, have a great one. See you next time. Bye.